Recently, on some forum somewhere, I found a handful of things written by real students in history exams. I'll just read you a few quick. The greatest writer of the Renaissance was William Shakespeare. He was born in the year 1564, supposedly on his birthday. Louis Pasteur discovered a cure for rabbis. It was an age of great inventions and discoveries. Gutenberg invented removable type and the Bible. Another important invention was the circulation of blood. Gravity was invented by Isaac Newton. The 19th century was a time of a great many thoughts and inventions. People stopped reproducing by hand and started reproducing by machine. Another story was William Tell, who, contrary to belief, did not shoot an apple which was on his son's head, but rather shot an arrow through an apple while standing on his son's head. This inspired me to check some Reddits for badly wrong exam answers, both accounted from the teachers who marked them and the very students who wrote them down. Polar environments have low levels of precipitation. Identify one other environment that has low levels of rainfall. The rainforest. I teach French, and as a bonus on a quiz, I asked the students what happens in France on July 14th. Instead of writing Bastille Day, one student wrote Balls Out Day. Middle Ages test. What colourful item did people hang on castle walls that also prevented drafts? Prisoners. One of the questions was like, what is it called when an object is stationary? And I put office materials. A kid in AP Calculus just wrote, wish I could, Queen, on a test question. Directions. Please correctly rewrite the sentence below. Has you ever been to an rodeo? Student's written response. No, I haven't, no. Had an English essay assignment about horse meat during the horse meat scandal in Europe. One girl actually wrote an whole essay about two horses meeting each other. Biology question, something along the lines of, how should you treat someone with coronary heart disease? And I wrote, with respect. Bye! What? I've taught math from 6th through geometry. This assignment was one of the best I've seen. Just look at the instructions and his answers. Add or subtract? Well, that's add. That one's subtract. This is easy. Yeah, but I wonder what went through his head at problem 16. Art class, teacher wanted 12 thumbnail sketches, a small rough idea of the picture, of our ideas for a painting. One girl drew her thumbnail 12 times. There you go, done. What a pointless exam. In middle school, my history teacher kept a book of all the funny answers he's gotten over the years. Define Nixon. What's the stuff in cigarettes that makes them addictive, no? Define poverty. Isn't that the time of your life when you go through, changes and stuff? While teaching freshman English, we were studying some Shakespeare, and one of the vocab words was nobility. A kid answered, when you're not very good at something. No ability. They had to use vocab words in an original sentence. The word was usurp. And the sentence, I usurp on my pancakes. Use the word fortify in a sentence. I have $45 in my pocket. Vocabulary test, use the word in a sentence, surf it. I saw a wave and decided to surf it. I teach physics, and sometimes they get conversions wrong, leading to great answers. The best was a pogo stick, which bounced around 100,000 meters high. Yeah, record for the highest pogo jump ever is only 3.5 meters. 100,000 meters would put you about there. GCSE mock, I calculated that a coffee was 300 million Celsius in temperature. 516 meters squared for the area of the base of a jar. Ooh, that's a big jar, mate. I know, right? Broken heart emoji. Well, I put 0.8 centimeters for the height of a jar. I got a negative number. Analog sad face. Since I'm grading tests as we speak, let me just pull one from the stack here. Right, describe how glaciers were involved in the formation of the Great Lakes. Glaciers were involved with the Great Lakes by forming them. A response on a quiz about food safety. What does FDA stand for? Forget this assignment. What do we call the science of classifying living things? Racism? State the 2 organs that make up the central nervous system. Heart? Lamp. I spelt my last name completely wrong, and later in that exact same test, I accidentally wrote, fuck. I had to give a mandatory state writing test. Oh, and by the way, if you're going to draw anything from this video, so it should probably be this. The prompt was related to our study of that state's Native Americans and focused somehow on ears of corn. Apparently this kid had never heard the expression ears of corn. Just spare a moment here to consider, after an exam everyone walks out talking about it, all your mates are going, oh, that was easy, wasn't it? I mean, everyone knows what ears of corn are, obviously. Meanwhile, you're silently panicking because you've written... So it morphed into this weird sci-fi story along the lines of The Fly, where a kid's ears turn into corn cobs. Toward the end, the main character was just saying, "What? I can't hear you. I have ears of corn." I was laughing so hard reading it, I couldn't even explain to the other teachers on my team what was so funny. In my English mock, I wrote something like, "The darkness emitted darkness." Loudly crying face emoji. Character AI behaviour. Loudly crying face emoji. "Oh no, a ghost," was a quote made by me in my English exam. Therefore, the overflowing ambition led Macbeth to his Macdeath. Skull emoji, skull emoji, skull emoji. Did you actually write that? I'm chuckling. Skull emoji. I said thank you in Spanish during my French exam when I was trying to say sorry in French. I was writing an essay for a French class test back in high school. I sucked at French. I sucked at it so badly, I inadvertently called my teacher a prostitute in that essay. I took AP Spanish this year. I mistranslated the words for laughter and smile in my head as crying and sadness. I ended up writing 200 plus words about the health benefits of being sad. In my French speaking mock, I was asked what I buy online and I straight up said, dogs. Loudly crying face emoji, and then I followed up with a, and you, like I was expecting my teacher to agree with me, skull emoji. Year 10 PPEs, this is just a few days ago. I was absolutely cooked for the exams. I just used a bunch of random Spanish adjectives from Breaking Bad. Mi profesor en español es el güey y muerto porque abogado. Qué divertido. My Spanish teacher is cool and dead because he's a lawyer. How funny! A-level speaking mock, I very confidently said that young people were getting addicted to young people. I was supposed to say young people are getting addicted to mobiles and I got my words confused. A teacher had to stop the timer because she was laughing that hard. Our French class, we goofed and slacked too much. On one of my French quizzes, the teacher was angry because someone put the French word for grass as les grasses. Ball jiggler confesses. Ah yes, the sub-dialect of French known as rage comics. It reminds me of my friend in 8th grade French. The question was, why do you eat a sandwich? And the answer the teacher was looking for was parce que j'ai faim, because I'm hungry. My friend wrote parce que je peux, because I can. A point moving through space. Line. An enclosed area that has height, width and volume. Form. The lightness or darkness of an object. Value. The way something actually feels or looks like it would feel. Texture. An enclosed area that has height and width. Shape. Draw a shape. There you go. What is your favourite hue? Jackman. I was a TA a couple years ago for an engineering drawing class, and on a lab assignment I got, do you want my head to explode? I was giving a quiz on naming various instruments of the orchestra. The picture was of a gong. I got various answers, including bong, but the one that stood out the most, Japan Smasher. I TA Gen Chem one semester. There was a bonus question, who invented the hot air balloon? One student answered, Jesus. I put up an extra credit question, name a song about the weather. I mean, yeah, you got loads like, here comes the sun, why does it always rain on me? This student, Highway to Hale. Highway to Hale. On a HS Algebra 2 final, not only do I not know the answer to this rather pointless piece of mathematical nonsense, I doubt my lack of this esoteric tidbit will have any impact on the whole rest of my life, thus I feel it only fair that I should get full credit, as it is a silly and pointless question. Random middle school student on an end of unit exam written response, bruh, I've got a month left, I really don't give a fuck. I don't know if this counts, but one of the questions began with, a student is trying to calculate the volume of an egg, and I was so tired, I didn't give an answer, I just put, why? My AP Chem teacher graded for a few years, and he opened one booklet and a $5 bill fell out. Nothing much was written in the book. I've graded AP exams in the past. I had one individual decide, oh fuck this test, I better write a full page of Game of Thrones spoilers. Show ruined. I had a kid literally draw a face on a cuboid when asked to draw the missing face. My comparative Gov teacher told me about the essay that contained no words, just a picture of Godzilla and King Kong attacking the College Board building. On the AP Physics exam, my answer to find the charge of the outer shell was a picture of a bunny in a lab coat attaching a car battery to a turtle, to find the charge of the shell. Yeah, needless to say, I didn't pass that exam. This kid, though, is going places. Miss, I can't read the question. There is, as you can see, a bear in the way. Make the opaque bear clear! How many sides are in a triangle? 2. Who is the Greek god of the ocean? Aquaman. State the functions of the stomach. Liver? People lived in poverty, which was bad because they didn't have money, which was bad because they couldn't afford food, which was bad because they would starve, which was bad because they would die, which was bad because this would make other people sad and lower their quality of life. It might be worth just clarifying why that's bad. When I was in my first year of college, my writing class assignment was to write an objective essay regarding Dr. King's movement. Being an idiot and not thinking clearly, I thought the professor meant to be objective, similar to a lawyer objecting something during a court case.
I have a dream.
Objection! In the end, I wrote a completely racist paper and received a 0. I had to explain myself to the dean the next day as well. Oh, I still cringe every time I think about that class. Vocab sheet for World War II unit sentence example. I don't think I would do well in a concentration camp, as I have ADHD. Second year teaching about the beginning of World War I, and someone wrote about the assassination of Franz Ferdinand yeeting the bomb out of his car. Who was president during the early 1960s? John fucking Kennedy. Can't remember what the question was, but the correct answer was the presidential seal. The response from one of my students was
Flex seal. That's a lot of damage.
Once in my GCSE geography class, we had a test regarding natural disasters. My friend forgot the word erupted and ended up writing, and I quote, "The volcano volcanoed." One time my teacher asked on a test what was one animal that crossed the land bridge from Russia to America other than humans. I had the answer on the tip of my tongue, and instead of writing caribou, I blanked and wrote cantaloupes. This one girl last year did an assignment on Hawaii when the assignment was Iceland. She mixed up Ireland and Iceland and thought she could just choose any island. Live in Iceland can confirm it's practically the same place as Hawaii. I mean, both are located on geothermal hotspots and are surrounded by an ocean. Eyjafjallajökull atoll, Hamahamanakanapua. The languages are even just as unpronounceable. Well, for you, maybe. Had a test, forgot how to spell isle. I knew that all the words were contractions, so I just sounded it out and threw an apostrophe in there, like, "Ahee, Jackie, you can't just white out a question you don't want to answer. R/teachers and now what? Okay, I'm a 51-year-old long-term substitute teacher. I took this position in February and it ends at the end of the year. I've given a creative writing assignment and a student has put gooning to a leprechaun in it. In high school, we took a quiz on Hamlet. Our teacher told us, well, if you get confused, remember, the story is just like The Lion King. One of the questions asked how Hamlet's uncle died. Someone answered that he was thrown off a cliff and eaten alive by hyenas. GCSE Biology 1. What is the first antibiotic ever developed? Amputation. Student writing a lab report about a density experiment. Substance A will float in water because it is flamboyant. How does dietary fibre aids in digestion? It smoothens the shit. During a standardised test, one of the questions asked me to prove something about the constellations based on an article. I wrote, well, just trust me on this one, yeah? I was a TA for a very introductory physics classes last year. The question was something like, Jane has a mass of 42 kilograms and is tied up on a platform on one side of a 30-metre room 20 metres in the air. Tarzan has a mass of 60 kilograms and grabs onto a vine swinging from the middle of the room where he stands 20 metres in the air. If he starts at an initial velocity of 0, what is Tarzan's velocity at his lowest point? What is Tarzan's and Jane's velocity as they are exiting the building? And what I received for an answer, to the window, to the wall, to the sweat drips down my balls. Oh, them Janes can crawl. Ski ski, motherfucker, ski ski, goddammit. A grade 12 student who never showed up to class and never turned in any homework or assignments tried to breakfast club me with a heartfelt personal essay on his final exam. He even tried to end it with, Mr. Teacher, I know this maybe isn't what you were looking for, but it's what I know and feel. I still failed the shit out of him. Fucking yes! Always hated that trope in movies. The first cells were probably lonely? No. What is the strongest force on Earth? Love. No. Name a location, a country or region or area that is sparsely populated. The ocean. No, but state one significant physical reason why the area named above is sparsely populated. Well, because humans can't breath underwater. No. Hey, why are you booing me? I'm right. Yeah, marking does seem a bit unfair sometimes, and that's why if you're a student, you may be tempted to cheat. There are some genius ways to cheat. I work at a university and heard a chemistry student facing an exam had grown a couple of his fingernails long enough to write formulae on the underside of them. But if you're not a genius, there's two ways to cheat really. Either copy online. Last year I got a submission of an assignment that began with the sentence, as an AI language model, I cannot provide a specific answer to this question without any context or source. Had an essay I graded this year, it ended with, don't forget to like and subscribe for more essay content. Second grade graders were doing posters on various countries. One kid copied and pasted without understanding what they were saying. What is Colombia known for? Well, Colombia is known for a diverse culture, stunning natural landscapes, and production of high-quality coffee and cocaine. My first year teaching, I got a lot of plagiarised material turned in on essays, but the one line that will forever live in infamy is that of the 13-year-old boy who wrote, "In my 28 years of serving in the Air Force," or the other cheating option, of course, copy whoever's next to you. On a vocabulary quiz, students had to use courage in a sentence. One girl, Jame, wrote, "My brother showed courage when he fought in the war." The girl next to her wrote, "James' brother showed courage when he fought in the war." I had a kid cheating on a test. He went as far as to copy everything, exactly where it was on the other kid's test, including his doodles. On a world history test, I once asked what Magna Carta meant, translated into modern English. There were 3 boys sitting in a row near the back of the class. The first boy answered the question correctly and wrote a Great Charter. The second boy, sitting behind the first and looking over his shoulder, wrote a Greek Charter. The third boy, sitting behind the second and looking over his shoulder, wrote that the Magna Carta was the name of a Greek skater. Onomazami Magna Carta, Madri edapene ton, kemoeze nakano patinas. Oh, shit. Shit. Oh. Fuck. This is going to be my last video for the year, by the way. I want to spend my first Christmas with my new son. Thank you for joining me for 2025. I know the upload schedule's been a little bit sporadic, but it's been a good year. Good year, productive year. Got a lot done. Zoo plays baseball. A domesticated bear! The boy will be in nursery in the new year, so there should be more time for videos. Furby Part 4, Cooking with Matt 1.28 mil. Crazy line stories, because I know some of you have asked for that constantly all the time. Back early 2026. And I have a couple collabs in the work between now and then just to tide you over. But finally, this video, let's end with a few more dumb lines written in exams, courtesy of this poster's mom's friend. During the Boston Tea Party, the colonists bombed the harbour with tea. The cost of living at this time changed drastically. The jobs were poor and very monogamous. Basically, King George was being like a giant prick. On a question about things like prohibition and religion in the 1920s, we became a nation where sex was a thing for fun and could be purchased. We went from celibate to sell a butt. And finally, there was a man who made history in the world. A man whose name shall never be forgotten. And that man is Charles Darwin.